Assalamualaikum and greetings to all. Welcome back to our video lecture slides series, and this is video lecture slides week 7. Today we are going to look at how culture and development are manifested in our daily life. And at the end of this video lecture slides, all of you should be able to demonstrate the understanding on cultural diversity and development and their impacts on communication systematically. And this is our course learning outcome too. So let's have a look at Malaysian examples in terms of culture and development. So we are going to look at clashes of cultures. Do we have clashes of cultures in Malaysia? And then sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, basically when you talk about clashes of cultures, you will think of, okay, my culture clashes with my friend's cultures. Now, my friends can be from Malay culture, as I am, for example, or they can be from other cultures in Malaysia. Now, have you ever experienced or have you ever encountered any issues, especially about cultural practices? Do you think that Malaysia has issues, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think that Malaysia or we have issues in terms of our cultural practices? Why do you think that we have? Or why don't we have them, the clashes of cultures? So I will leave this for our next discussion in our next physical class. So think about this very carefully, whether we have clashes of cultures, and then we'll talk more about this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in order to understand each other, regardless of cultures, regardless of races, regardless of religions, there are three keys to understanding. The first one is respect. The second one is tolerance. And the third one is acceptance. Respect means the ability for you, when you look around, and not to give negative comments and to respect whatever that is happening around you. And that ability is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. It's not easy because humans, we always have some reactions to anything that we see. So in order for us to receive respect, we must learn to give respect too. So I'm sure that all of you have experienced this notion of respect. It's just that you never thought about it in such a way or in the context of culture and development. So respect, number one. An easy example would be in UPNM, for example, or in any institutions in the world. We have seniors, we have juniors. So basically, naturally, I would say naturally the juniors will have to respect the seniors. That's the order of the world. However, the seniors do not deserve to be respected if he or she does not exhibit or does not demonstrate a good example to the juniors. So as I said just now, respect is earned. You cannot simply say that, oh, I'm the senior, so you have to respect me. No. So it doesn't work that way. Respect is something that you must earn. So if you want people to respect you, you have to respect other people. So that's number one. Number two, tolerance. Tolerance is when you can actually give and take. Give and take in this sense means, let's say in the context of your room. So you have say maybe 5 roommates or 3 roommates. So let's say your roommates, 2 of them, for example, they are the kind of people who study after midnight. So let's say we do not have rules. After 12 o'clock, you have to switch off the lights. So they will start to study after 12, and they will switch on or keep the light on, and you and your other roommate are the kinds of people who must sleep and you cannot have lights on when you sleep. So how do you actually tolerate this? How do you tolerate these differences? So ladies and gentlemen, this is a process of giving and taking, and in order to do that, you have to actually make some sort of agreement, or you have to negotiate basically. So the conditions will be different from one group of people to the other. So basically the idea is for you to tolerate other people so that other people will be able to tolerate you as well. Last but not least, number 3, the third key is actually acceptance. Once you have respected and once you have tolerated the conditions or the situations, now is the time for you to accept. And ladies and gentlemen, honestly, this is the most difficult part. You can respect, you can tolerate, but sometimes for you to accept can be very, very challenging. However, these are the 3 keys to understanding respect, tolerance, and acceptance. And let's put one example for acceptance. Okay, let's see, in our class we have a mixture. We already have a mixture of Chinese, Indian, and Malays. Suddenly, we have an international student, let's say from Thailand, and he only knows English, and because of that, we respect this Thai student as a person. We tolerate his maybe cultural differences, but in order to accept, for example, we no longer can use Bahasa Melayu in our class because this Thai friend wouldn't be able to understand. So to accept the fact that there is no Bahasa Melayu in the class, even the jokes, no more jokes, because jokes are very cultural bias. Jokes cannot be told in any other languages other than the original language. So to accept the fact that there's no longer Bahasa Melayu, to accept the fact that, oh my God, now if I don't understand, I cannot ask in BM anymore. So that can be a huge challenge to everybody. So basically, keys to understanding, respect, tolerance, and acceptance. Now we move on to sustainable development. From the first week of this semester, we talk about categories and types of development. Basically, sustainable development is a balanced development. We have several categories of development. We have child development, physical development, intellectual development. We have physical, economic development, and so on and so forth. So sustainable development is actually having a balanced development of all these categories. And basically, or in general, there is no easy formula, but all developments basically must be able to sustain in order to ensure a successful nation. So when you talk about sustainable development, and when you talk about there's 3 pillars to sustainable development, including environment, social, and economic, we really have to ensure that whatever development that we plan to do, whatever categories development of development, it must, the keyword, it must be able to sustain, at least for the next generation to see. And this is not an easy process. This is not an easy process. And Malaysia is still a developing country. We are not a developed country. We are still developing after 67 years of independence. 67 years, almost 67, 65 years of independence. So yeah, after 60 years, more than 60 years of independence, we are still a developing nation. So this tells sustainable development, or development for that matter, is not easy. And okay, these questions, apart from this one here that we have to discuss during our physical class, do you think Malaysia has issues of cultural practices? We also need to answer this part here. How can Malaysia avoid cultural clashes, and sustains its development. Now, when you, during the process of understanding cultural values, during the process of understanding cultural norms, and position this or putting this into the planning of the programs to develop, do you think that we will be able to avoid cultural clashes, and at the same time, are we able to sustain our own development? So I have actually placed one example here. When you build a railway station, for example, in between the land of the orang asli, so you have to take into consideration of their needs and of their taboos. Taboos suggest that pantang larang. So they have their own belief system where they believe that perhaps you cannot have this one big tree cut because of certain belief that they have. So how can we sustain our own development? When you talk about sustaining our own development, we must make sure that all parts of Malaysia is developed, not only say only KL is developed. So this is where this orang asli, maybe the land is somewhere in a remote area, but we want to help develop this area so that the economic development is actually ensured. But at the same time, you have to ensure that the environmental part of it is sustained. So ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? How can Malaysia avoid cultural clashes? So between building a railway in this land of orang asli, and between taking care of their needs and understanding their taboos, and at the same time sustaining the development of Malaysia. So, ladies and gentlemen, should you have any questions, if you're not sure of anything, you can WhatsApp me personally, you can WhatsApp in our WhatsApp group, or alternatively, you can email me. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, when we see each other again, you are going to answer issues, whether we have issues on cultural clashes or practices. And then on this one, how can Malaysia avoid cultural clashes and at the same time sustain its development? With that, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I will see you again soon. Assalamualaikum and greetings to all once again.